Hi guys! So I have officially finished my first quarter of nursing school and I have finished with a 4.0. So I am so proud of myself. Proud is like an understatement. I knew I could do it, but like, could I really do it? So I'm so proud of myself, and I just thought that I could share what I've done, what works for me, because obviously it did work, and maybe it'll help you too. I want to just start by saying nursing school is a lot of work. Getting into nursing school is a lot of work. I was never an A student before nursing school. I just want to say that. Getting into, I had a 4.0, but I have a previous bachelor's degree, and I saw my cumulative GPA from that university today, actually. Oh my goodness. I am shocked. And I saw my, before that, associate's degree, before I got my bachelor's. I saw that GPA as well, and I'm also in shock because it's almost half of what I have now. The only thing that stresses me out is that everything is cumulative. So obviously I'm back at the same school that I was in the very, very beginning when I first graduated high school, and I didn't know what to do. So my friend and I signed up for, a local college. That's my ongoing GPA, and I don't think I really took it seriously when I first graduated high school. So that's a bummer, but I have a 4.0 right now. I had a 4.0 the past couple years, about year and a half-ish, leading up to the program I'm in now. I also had a 4.0. So I just want to share some tips and tricks, basically things that help me study and get those grades. First things first, I don't even want to call this a tip, but when I tell you, you have got to plan everything. That is like saving grace. What really, really helped me was I had everything planned to a T in a planner. This is mine. I think I got it from Marshall's. I love Marshall's. I got this from Marshall's, and the planners that I pick out are ones, here's one where I haven't used it yet because I didn't start using it till 2023 started. So we have 2022. I pick out planners that have the full day. Oh, my name tag fell out. Like, they have the full day, and then they also have like a second section, because I like to put my schedule on one side and then like to-do list kind of, or what's due, or things I should need to do that day on the other side. So I like to have two separate spots for what I need to do and what needs to be done. So yeah, that is the planner I have. And I also like this one. It does have its own like separate one page for like the month of like goals and stuff like that. I haven't really used that one too much. Actually, no, I think I did. I did a couple times. But what really also helps me was I also like to have the full month on here, because then I can actually look at a glance and be like, oh, I'm really busy, the end of the month. So that paper that's due, I should probably do that in the beginning of the month, if you know what I mean. So yeah, obviously, planning everything. I am a planning fiend. I never used to be like this, and I really think that this like helps me keep on top of my game and pay attention to the important things and what I gotta do. So I will show. Oh my gosh. Ooh, okay. You'll find out later, I love sticky notes. But anyways, so this is what my planner usually looks like. This side's a little blank because it says priorities and then Friday, and I didn't have school on Fridays. So yeah, I didn't really plan too much on Fridays. That was like my free day of anything you didn't get done, do it that day, recuperate, But then I have the beginning of the week, and I plan out and I color coordinate all of my classes by the same color. And then assignments that are due, I usually kind of put them with the same color. Because then it kind of keeps me thinking about, well, this is due this day because I have that class, in 2 days after that. So I also add on extra sticky notes for anything that's not permanent, not anything like little extra to-do lists. I'll add a sticky note and I keep track of what week I am in school. So this was week 5. But yeah, see, I have all my classes for each day, but then I also have, I wanted all of this done Monday because Tuesday's classes were when things started getting rolling. So I had my to-do list there. But yeah, so planning everything is so helpful. The next thing is kind of has to do with planning is, oh my goodness, read before class. I've always heard this in school, throughout high school, throughout college, you know, read the book before we go over it, blah, blah, blah. And I never really paid attention to that. I just figured, why? You're going to teach it to me anyways. But when I tell you, I read before class and a lot of my classmates didn't. And I just felt like in a headspace, I was so much more there and I was ready to pick up stuff and ready to learn. And then my classmates would be like telling me that they're, you know, 2 weeks behind on reading. And I'm like 2 weeks ahead. And not only like when you read, when I read before class, basically I'm reading what I know the teacher is going to go over. So if we're assigned, let's say chapter 7, I'll read all of chapter 7 usually 2 days before or a day before class, but I'll also take notes for my reading. And this kind of keeps me going through it, but also aware of what I don't understand and what I do understand. That way, once the teacher's like already explaining it, I'm not having to seek them out, which is totally fine. I don't have to seek them out to find out an answer. They're already going over it. I can just raise my hand and ask the question that's been on my mind for the past couple days. I had to do with the reading. So yeah, I have one notebook for everything because I've never done this before, but I noticed that all of my classes kind of went together. So if I needed, let's say, info on vital signs from one class, but then another class we were talking about how to communicate with patients about those vital signs, I had it all in one spot and that was really nice. But I wouldn't recommend this for anything else. I wouldn't put like English and biology together or psychology and chemistry together because it was kind of back and forth, and I ended up putting sticky notes for each entry into basically my binder or my spiral notebook. And each color, this is wild, each color corresponds, so like pink corresponds to the pink class that I had written down in my planner. So I was able, like, I know this is this class. And then if I flip to that one, the next one is also that class for the pink color. And yeah, so I was able to find stuff a lot easier. Another thing, ooh, this is an interesting chapter that I took a lot of notes on. Another thing I did was when I did take notes, I took notes in different colors. It's something I've always been doing, but I think it really does help me because it really points out there are things that your teachers are going to tell you, like remember this, know this. So I can write in that color because I know, for example, my class notes are red. So when I took my notes, I did red notes for everything. But then I did black notes for everything, red notes for what's in class. So I have arrows pointing to, you know, the teacher said know all of this, make sure you know that, you know this. And then the blue is the supplemental stuff that comes with the textbook, like online testing and stuff like that. I would take all of those tests, but also study, because they'll have modules up there as well that you can kind of watch, and it kind of goes a lot more in detail. And there's stuff on there where I was like, wow, I feel like I might kind of like that would benefit me by knowing that. I should probably know that. And so I would write that in blue. So all of my notes are lots of blue, red, black. That's kind of what everything looks like. Highlights if I feel like I have a lot of the same kind of categories going on and I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to find stuff fast if I need to. I'll highlight to start, like obviously for pharmacokinetics, I put absorption, highlight, and then I think the next one's distribution. Yep, I wrote all my stuff and then distribution, highlight. And then, yeah, so Also, you'll find out in a minute, like I said, I am wild about sticky notes. That's my favorite thing. I add a lot of sticky notes to everything. Sticky notes where it's not a permanent note, but it's something like, hey, make sure, like, take a peek at this, kind of want to look at this. Like, here's one of them. This obviously isn't a permanent note. I don't need it, but I thought this is stuff that I should maybe kind of get to know. And if that's something where I realize I do need to know it, I can just take that sticky note off, and I do this all the time, but I put it right on my bathroom mirror, so that way when I brush my teeth every morning for like recommended 2 minutes, but it's really like 3 because I'm weird about my teeth. When I am brushing my teeth in the morning, I can literally look at stuff, brush my teeth, memorize what I need to memorize. But yeah, so definitely take notes. That is number 1. Read before class. Oh my gosh. That is like the one thing you take away from this. Read before class, take your notes on your own time, and then in class, you just add to those notes, and you are able to focus so much more on what the teacher's saying rather than scrambling to write notes. Number 2, this has been a long video, I'm so sorry, but I feel like this is so helpful because this has literally changed my GPA. The day before tests, reread all your stuff. Even if it's super fast, even if you're just glancing through, just reread everything. I sat down the night before tests. I would take a couple hours knowing, you know, like after this, I'm gonna go to bed. I would open up the chapter to whatever I'm being tested on the next day, and I would just browse through it. I held off on highlighting in my book the entire time, and then towards the end I realized that my book comes with online stuff that I'm using, so if someone were to buy this book for me, they would still have to buy the online stuff. And the way my school does it is they do a bundle of books where you buy like 12 books at once, and you can't really buy them individual. So I thought, why am I not highlighting when no one is really going to use this book but me? And if I do give it away, it's going to be for more of a resource and not a necessary component to take the class. So I started highlighting before the tests at night. And I would just go through the book, and anything where I'm like, oh, big point right here, or wow, I should probably really know that, or kind of keep an eye on that, I would highlight that. So there's like minimal highlighting. Don't highlight the whole book. Highlight stuff that you're like, ooh, I kind of forgot I read about that, and then highlight that. And it kind of jogs your mind to really remember what you already know. And I just feel like getting in the headspace before an exam is what saved me. Like, I remember I used to take exams before I was in the nursing program, and I would go to work, go home to a scheduled exam, log in, take that exam. And I just remember reading stuff and being like, ooh, I know this, but I don't know this. Like, it's just not in my mind. So I'm telling you, if you just read beforehand, go back through and jog your memory of the stuff that you know because you read it. That's what you got to do. I will say, and I don't know where I heard this, I have read or I have heard that it takes you to see something or to expose yourself to information 7 times before you actually remember it. And I kind of try and tell myself that. So I'm like, I'm reading before class, there's 1. I'm learning in class from a teacher, there's 2. I'm going home and I'm doing an assignment, which requires me to kind of look through the book and find information, there's 3. You know, and then like obviously the reading before a test, there's 4. Studying with people on a study group, that's 5. Like flashcards, that's 6. Which leads me to my 3rd thing. I am a huge fan of flashcards, but I am not a fan of the time it takes to do a flashcard. Writing on those stupid pieces of paper drives me insane. So I wish I was sponsored, but I'm not. Quizlet, oh my gosh. We were told don't use Quizlet, and I agree, do not use Quizlet unless it's for studying your own material. It doesn't help if you're looking at other people's stuff because their teachers are gonna ask them to do other things, to learn other things, and I am simply here for what I need to know for my class. So I go through online stuff and I make a Quizlet with all of my info. And I'm telling you, I will use the books online resources, I will use my teachers online resources, I'll use the PowerPoints that are uploaded online, and I will use all of that, and I will make a Quizlet. It's gonna equal up to, I think one of mine was like 320 slides or 320 note cards, I guess, even though it's not a real note card. But like taking that with me, because you can download the app on your phone. You don't even have to have the app. You can just go online, but I have the app. And I also have it on my iPad, which I will literally take with me everywhere I go. And if I'm sitting there waiting for class to start, I have 10 minutes, I'm scrolling through and there you go. There's so much more exposure to your material and it really does help. And even if you don't know the knowledge to answer a flashcard, you can still flip through the flashcards and see what the answers are. And it helps your brain kind of link all these ideas and terms and stuff together. And it's so helpful. But yeah, so flashcards. And then just retaking notes was something else that I did, and people at first thought it was funny, but then I had people asking to borrow my notes and I was fine with it. So I'll show you this quick. This is a little crazy. Bear with me here. So I put it in a binder because initially I have a big binder that has all of my stuff in it, literally all of my stuff. I'm also a big fan of motivation. So like I'm in high school, someone told me in class, it's like you're in high school. I have all the people that inspire me on the front of my binder because I'm not only doing this for myself, I want to make them proud because I've sacrificed so much and so have they. So yeah, the back of my binder has a schedule on it, but it didn't because I would take notes and I would put them on sticky notes. I took a lot of sticky notes and I put them on a piece of paper because I love color, and this was a way for me to have so much color on one piece of paper. I don't know, but it was able to kind of help me group ideas together also. And basically it's in a protective sheet now because I kept them, and these were so freaking helpful when I was studying for a cumulative final. Like when I tell you an entire module, the writing is very small because I went out and got really thin pens for this. I took so many notes on these sticky notes, but all of these notes are only what my teacher directly talked about. So like the PowerPoints that they would post online for us to see, I took notes and I literally copied every single thing from that PowerPoint because this is the stuff that I know my teacher went out of the way to talk about. It's probably gonna be important. But yeah, I have them for all my classes. So I have the first one I did, and I put them in their own binder because then at the end of the term when I was studying for a cumulative final, I had everything to go. And it was so helpful because I had people asking if they could look at it while I was doing other stuff. Like I wasn't looking at it, so they're like, hey, can I look at your binder? Because this was in the back of my binder, the sheet. And I was like, yeah, of course. So yeah, I have all of this stuff. And then my one of my classes final was a head to toe. I literally rewrote the entire head to toe process. That way I can just jog, like my notes are, I'm telling you, they get your mind to just really remember stuff by just write it down over and over again. It helps, I'm telling you, it helps. But yeah, I am a serious note taker. As you can see, I'll try not to show this part here. I have a lot of sticky notes. I take notes on everything. I take notes, even like this stuff, I don't even think we had a question about that, but it was in our chapters, so I learned it. Like I got everything. I try and memorize everything. But yeah, that way, even if I saw it on a test and it was like, I could tell myself like, oh, you know this, but I was not like immediately knowing the right answer, I was able to kind of think to myself like, You wrote it down. What did you write? And I'm like literally picturing my notes because I'm like, I know I wrote that. Where did I write that? So yeah, I have note-taking, flashcards. The flashcards really help. I'm not a fan of a stack of paper ones though, just because now that I see that I'm taking over 300, I don't want a stack of 300 papers for one test where I can have them all online. So I use Quizlet. I know there's other resources out there. I use Quizlet purely for only my stuff. I don't look at anyone else's stuff. I only make my own. That way I can flip through my own flashcards. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. Study, study, study. Study more than you've ever studied and you will completely understand everything. This stuff, I just have to remind myself, like this stuff isn't rocket science. This is stuff that people do day to day when they hardly have to think about it because they've been doing it so long. So I just tell myself, you're gonna get it. It's just new to you now. Everyone in here is in the same boat. Like we all know that it's hard. It's a lot of work. But if you put in the work, I promise you, the effort is immaculate. Like it is such a good feeling to finish this and not have to worry about passing. But like my biggest concern was, am I gonna keep my A's? Like it's such a different feeling. It is such a different feeling. I feel great about it. So yeah, those are my tips. Read before class, the day before test, read again. Whatever stuff you're using, there's resources. Quizlet is great for flashcards. I love it. Retake all your notes. Just kind of keep that process going in your brain. Expose yourself to that material over and over and over again, and make use of the stuff that comes with your books. There's a lot of online resources that are so helpful. Yeah, they're really hard. I like answered questions and I was like, oh my God, I don't know what this is. And then I found it in the book and it's like the teeniest little sentence at the bottom of the page that I'm like, wow, I must have just like skipped over that and thought it wasn't important. Use your resources. They will give you a lot of info that maybe you don't necessarily have to know for what you're doing, but then you're gonna remember you saw that idea somewhere else and this is what they meant. So in this context, that's probably not the answer, or that probably is the answer. Like it really does help you just form all these connections in your brain. And yeah, that's it. So that's how I kept my 4.0 rolling, and hopefully this helps you. Bye.